Next, let's turn to item number 4, usable segment funding plan. Mr. Van Ark, you're going to present?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, board members. I'll just wait for the slide to come up. As you know from your board documentation, although this is one item, we will be presenting it in 2 sections, as there are 2 decisions that have to be made at the end of the session. I would also request from you that the decision for the resolution for the 2 be done at the end. I think, you can choose to do it before, but I think it makes more sense we get back to the resolutions at the end. And I will start with the first half section, and then Kurt Ramey will be backing me up on the funding plan. It's just that we're sharing the load. So on the introduction, the Bond Act requires that a usable segment must be selected in which the authority proposes to invest bond proceeds. The definition of a usable segment in the Bond Act is a portion of corridor that includes at least 2 stations. The authority must also meet other criteria and describe these other criteria in the funding plan and when selecting the usable segments. Now, the evaluation of the usable segments, you will recall, at least those members that have been around for a longer period of time, if you refer to board meetings in November the 4th, December the 2nd, December the 20th, March the 30th, and July the 14th, at all those board meetings, and they are referenced in the board documentation that you got as well, there has been a continuous build-up of selection and selection criteria. Initially, selection criteria for the initial operating section, and thereafter the development thereof into what one refers to today as the initial operating section. So the basis of the selection criteria, which you had approved also in the November the 4th, 2010 board meeting, the basis thereof was actually the Bond Act as well as the ARA funding legal requirements. So in fact, we have been working to do evaluations of the alignments according to the requirements of both the Bond Act and secondly also of the ARA legal requirements. The evaluation of such usable segments has pointed us clearly into 2 potential usable segments which we view favorably and that meet the criteria of the Bond Act. And these are referenced, and that's why I wanted to present the business plan first. These are referenced in the draft 2012 business plan as the initial operating section, or IOS as we refer to them, the IOS North, as well as the IOS South. Both of these sections include in there, as part of them, the ICS, or initial construction section. In the maps in the business plan, you will see these 2 maps, the one being from the south in Bakersfield all the way up to the north in San Jose, and the second being from Merced through Bakersfield on the right and down to San Fernando Valley Station. So our recommendation, which is a recommendation that the board would finally then have to approve, is that we select 2 usable segments as defined in the Prop 1A Bond Act, and that is the IOS North, Central Valley to Bay Area, which is 290 miles from Bakersfield North to south, in the south, sorry, from north of Bakersfield, or from Bakersfield Station, sorry, in the south to San Jose in the north, which go actually through 4 additional stations, Gilroy, Merced, Fresno, and Kings Tulare stations. The alternative is IOS South, which would go through the Central Valley to Los Angeles Basin, which is about a 300-mile section from Merced Station in the north to San Fernando Valley Station in the south, with 4 additional stations, including Fresno, Kings Tulare, Bakersfield, and Palmdale. Now, in your documentation, You have the details of this. There's a lot more detail in the actual application for the funding plan. But before we carry on with this, I would like to hand over to Kurt Ramey, who is going to walk you through the basis of the actual funding plan and what the requirements were of the funding plan itself.
Thank you, Roelof. Thank you. The funding plan is required by the Bond Act. It's a separate document that is very closely related to the business plan and references information in the business plan. It's submitted prior to request for appropriation, and this is the authority's first funding plan. The funding plan is required to access bond money as you move to construction. So there's been other bond monies for design and other activities. We have not required a funding plan. This is the first one. Importantly, the funding plan must discuss operable sections and the money that you're requesting. There will be another funding plan the next time we go back and seek additional appropriation for bond money. There are several sections, elements to the funding plan. This is all defined in statute, and you'll see this similar format in each one coming forward. Let me just go over a couple of pieces of the funding plan. Capital construction costs, these are numbers that we've seen already. We've seen them today. They're in the business plan. They show both the construction costs for the iOS North and the iOS South. You can see that they range from 30 to 33 on a YOE basis, and the dates that are in the planning document are described in this slide also. This is the sources of the funds for the ICS, the $6 billion that is the subject of this funding plan. This is a presentation that was provided to the federal government, but fundamentally there's ARRA monies and then there is, from a federal perspective, and then there's FY 2010 appropriation, that's the $929 million. That's about two-thirds down the page. The state matching funds are all bond monies. In total, 3.316 is federal money. 2.684 is the bond request. One of the sections of the funding plan speaks to projected ridership and operating revenues, as it's termed in the funding plan in the statute itself. Importantly, and this information has been out and is in the business plan, there is no operating subsidy projected under any of the scenarios that have been analyzed in this plan. There's no operating subsidy in this financial plan. With that, I'm going to turn it back to Roelof if there are no questions.
So, Mr. Chairman, members, the details, the data of the funding plan is available to you, is in the binders. Each one of the sections that was on the first slide has been commented to, the elements of the funding plan, the usable segment, lease and franchise agreements, capital construction costs, sources of funds, projected ridership, known and foreseeable risks, and authority certifications. All these items have been commented to in the funding plan. Clearly the funding plan, and that's why we've always synchronized the funding plan with the business plan, it references the business plan because a lot of the data is in the business plan. The data that's in the business plan is, in our opinion, static data that would just be repeated if we had to do a separate document, and on consultation we were guided to just reference the documentation and the pages and the references in the business plan. So with that said, we have two actions, as I mentioned to you, that we need to achieve today. And that is, the board has to make, there are two recommendations from staff, and the board has to adopt two resolutions The one is referred to as Resolution HSR 1122, and that reads as follows. Pursuant to Streets and Highway Code Section 7204.08 Subdivision F, the authority hereby selects for construction each of the following usable segments. The first is the portion of Phase 1 corridor described in the Street and Highway Code 270404 Subdivision B2 between and including a San Jose station and a Bakersfield station. So that is the Iowa West North. And secondly, the portion of the Phase 1 corridor between and including a Merced station and a San Fernando Valley station. So our request, Mr. Chairman, is that the Board approve this resolution or vote on this resolution to adopt these as 2 usable segments for use in the funding plan.
Thank you, Mr. Van Ark. A couple questions to Council. Both as to Resolution HSRA 1122 as well as HSRA 1123. Are they both in compliance with Proposition 1A?
Yes, they are, Mr. Chairman, board members.
Any legal impediment or impairment to us voting on those 2 resolutions today?
No, there is not.
All right. Thank you. Other board members? Okay. Mr. Rossi moves. Mr. Richards seconds. First, we'll vote on HSR 1122. Madam Secretary, if you'd call the roll.
Chairman Umberg.
Aye.
Mr. Richards.
Aye.
Ms. Schenk. Aye. Mr. Hartnett.
Aye.
Mr. Richard. Aye. And Mr. Rossi. Aye. Thank you.
All right. Next issue is HSRA 1123. Any discussion, board members? No questions, no discussion.
To comment on items before you take action, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Patton, you had your opportunity early on. I specifically referenced items 1 and item 4, so I appreciate your comment. Mr. Van Ark, anything you need to add?
I would just, we recommend to the Authority Board, HSR 1123, stating the following. The Authority hereby approves the funding plan presented at this meeting related to each usable segment. The Authority hereby authorizes and directs the Executive Director to submit the funding plan to the recipient set forth in Street and Highway Code Section 2704.08 Subdivision C.
Thank you. Seeing no, Vice Chair Schenk moves.
Second.
Vice Chair Richards seconds. Madam Secretary, if you'd call the roll. This is on HSR 11-23.
Chairman Umberg.
Aye.
Mr. Richards.
Aye.
Ms. Schenk. Aye. Mr. Hartnett.
Aye.
Mr. Richard. Aye. Mr. Rossi. Aye. Thank you.
All right. Both resolutions are carried. Next,